5 things you would say are essential things a soccer coach needs?
Ooh. I think the one thing I would say is it's changed.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. From 5 years ago to now, it's changed. You're going to have patience. Mm-hmm. You've got to have empathy. That's 2 things. And you've got to be able to deal with parents. That's the patience piece, right? We're not even talking about football yet, have we? And then the rest of it is obviously be organized and make sure you work with the kids to develop the kids. Forget about the winning perception and, just performance equals success. Every manager in the world, whether it's pro or whatever you listen to, tells you the same thing, whether it's Jurgen Klopp or even the game yesterday, right, with Chelsea and United.
Yeah.
At the end of that game, performance won the game because they never stopped. So, we place too much emphasis on winning. So they're the things, and you got to be resilient, man. You're going to get knocks. You're going to lose games. But the difference these days is when you lose a game, the parents are all over you. They want you fired. They want to get somebody else in. So it's difficult. So you got to learn to deal with those parents.
So I just want to write that down. Performance is success, not results.
Performance equals success, yeah. Because if you train and you play well, if you think about it, you got the job. I mean, we would do a little experiment when we did ODP, and this is to do with coaching, right? So I'd stand up and I'd say to the kids, parents, how many of you played soccer? And we could have 200 in the gym at VC, because there's about 100 kids, right? And 20 had put their hands up. So I say, also, 20 of you have actually played the game of soccer. Okay, great. Kids, what's it like when you've just lost a game and you're driving home in the car with your parents, who only 20 have played soccer? What's the banter like on the way home? You just lost, played terrible. What's the banter like? And the kids would go, ooh, and it would be pretty damn loud, right? So then I'd say, well, only 20 played soccer. 80 of you didn't kick a ball. So I said, then I'd rephrase the question and say, what's it like when you've played super, really, really good, and you lost 1-0, or you lost 2-0? What's the drive like home in the car? And the kids would say, hardly any oohs. Mm-hmm. So that tells you that they might not play soccer, but they know what a good performance is. Mm-hmm. And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
That's all you can control,
It's interesting. Maybe you can talk a little bit more. I always think about the parent relationship between the parent and the coach, but obviously the parent and the child on that drive home. My
experience.
Important.
Well, because I coached Joey's team, the Ventura team, Ventura Arsenal, from when they were 12 until 18, 19. When they got to about 16, we had a minivan, because we had the soccer mom thing going.
Yeah,
so we'd pick all the kids up, take them to the game, but no one would ride back with us. Just Joe, me, Kathy, and my other 2 kids. So finally one day I said to one of the boys, Ivan, I said, Ivan, what's the deal, man? I come pick you up, take you to the game, and you don't ride at me. You don't come in the car. Yeah. He said, well, have you ever heard yourself talking? So that day, when the kids were 15, I decided that it wasn't my job, it was their team. And I think that's what some people forget. The kids have got to enjoy it. And I was a parent, remember, my kid was playing. So that's the hardest thing in the world, to try not to spill over into your real life, So that day on, from that day on, when we had tryouts with the team, I'd go to the team and say, what do you think? Do you like him? Because it was their team.
Yeah.
And that's carried on even into the college now. Because in them days, you wouldn't have thought about ownership, the kids having ownership. But that's what happened to me. Now at the college, I have the kids create their own culture. So we talk about what do we want to be like, right? Which I would do with any club team I'm with now. And then we have a leadership group, which is 4 players normally. Yeah. Because no longer can you go to the administration and kick a kid off the team without a parent or somebody coming in. So it needs to be a group decision. And then we don't have rules anymore. We have goals and expectations. So think about it with your club team. If you sat the parents in a room and said, right, we're gonna create some goals and expectations. Where do we start? Let's start with practice. Because and I know, a kid's never late for practice. The parent's late, the kid's never late. So that's what I do at the college now. And the only thing they can't control is attendance because of the COVID situation, the school. That makes it a little bit harder. But that's also changed what we do. So, if I was with a club program, coaching a club team, I would have the parents buy in, because once they've done it, it's they own it. So now when someone's late for practice, hey, you agreed to this. I didn't tell you got to do it. So you're passing that ownership to them. Does it work? I don't know. Works at the college. Works at
So you're saying get the parents to buy in more at the club level because essentially they're the ones responsible for getting their kids on
Well, they're
time
the
and-
owners.
Yeah.
They're the owners of the club, right? So if you go in there with your list, which I have my list, right, my own list, these are my rules and regulations. I go in there and I make sure that they hit the ones I feel are appropriate. I don't tell them. I just listen, and I might throw out, okay, what if someone misses 3 practices in a row? Those types of things. How do we handle, Johnny? There's nobody to pick Johnny up. What happens now? The liability for you to take him home as a coach is tremendous. When you're traveling, how the kids behave, So all that stuff, I would have the parents buy into it, because if they've got to take ownership, and that's the same with the college players. And I'll be honest with you, the college players do a great job. They buy in. Then you hold each other accountable. So the parents then are saying, hey, you know what, you didn't bring your kid to practice. I mean, I think Joe just had one last week, and he's really organised. He takes roll every practice. You're here, not here, just like school. So a lady come to him 2 weeks ago. Kid's not played much. She said, right, why is my son not playing much? So he looked at his records. He's missed 17 practices since the beginning of the season. 17. She says, yeah, but this is why. He was at the dentist that day. He was at the doctor's this day, and she didn't get it. She actually didn't get it. She thought he was punishing the kid, and it's like, wait a minute. So she felt he should play no matter what. You know why? I'm paying. So that creates a whole other monster for you, doesn't it? You know what I mean? So I think now there's a situation, had the parents bought into it, then maybe other parents could have said something as well,
When you did this with your team, did you do like an open forum with the parents to have them suggest ideas?
Yeah, sticky,
Yeah.
Post-its.
Like a whiteboard and everything?
Post-its, 4 or 5 on the board, small groups, 3 parents, 3 parents, 3 parents. Go ahead. What should your culture be? The culture is the most important thing at a club or for a team, right? And if you've got a bad culture, then you're going nowhere. So we decided at VC, they created a Pirates in a way that typifies our culture, right? So we obviously positive environment, going through the pirate name to create what it is. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I've got it on my phone because we're going to print a big poster. But like empathy, safe environment sounds silly. Safe environment is so important. What does that mean? That means that I'm not going to get on them and embarrass them. They're not going to embarrass themselves. No one's going to argue with each other. And of course, when you're dealing with females, you're also dealing with cliques, right? Whatever you want to call them. We've got this group over here, this group over there, this group over there. So it's difficult, it's difficult. And at a community college where you've got the kids, in the season is 13 weeks, 16 weeks with the playoffs. And you get them 4 weeks before that. So this year I've got 20 coming back and I've got 12 coming in. To integrate those 12 into the 20, it's really important that our culture is understanding, because you're coming to take my spot. It's not a 4-year school where you're going to wait, right? So, yeah, that I would say once you get your culture, you know what you want, and your values are in there as well. You know what I mean? And then, like I say, I have the players decide what the goals and expectations were, and performance was one. Attitude in training, obviously. Give 100% every day. So, when you say something to them as far as it's not as good as it should be, it's up to them to hold each other accountable, and the captains need to step up. So it shouldn't always be on the coach. And if you listen to Liverpool, they've got their leadership group, right? Van Dijk, Andy Robertson, Mo Salah, they're the group. Klopp doesn't deal with anything like that. I mean, and I think that's a great way of doing it for the older kids. The younger kids, you've got to have the parents, unfortunately and fortunately. A good friend of mine, Chris Price, who really does really well, he used to own a company called Zara Soccer Uniform Company. So he's retired now. He just stuff for the National Hockey League.
What's his name again?
Chris Price.
Chris Price.
He'd be a good interview for you one of these days. He's down in Orange County. So Chris deals with the reality of having all these parents that are not involved, and he says it's about what they could do for you if you got them involved. So just last week we had a coach in a coaching school that said I've got this one parent that's a screamer and a shouter. So I said, well what you do is you give him a job. Stop him shouting. His kid plays as a centre forward, number 9, and track shots.
Yeah.
Right? Track crosses. Give him work to do. And then, obviously, hopefully he'll shut up. If he doesn't shut up, then you've got another situation to deal with. So, and everybody's a coach, you know that.
That's an important teaching tool to someone who's maybe acting out. You need to give them more specific direction.
Give them direction and video them. Because some people will say, that's not me. And then they see themselves on video and they're like, oh, damn. Yeah. That was out of order, right? But that's stuff you learn over the years, isn't it? You know, how to deal with that. But we talked about it before. Parents are a big part of what you do at your club, and you can't exclude them. The club situation's changed so much in the sense, years ago, 15 years ago, there was a volunteer that was the president of the club. There was a volunteer that was the secretary. There was a volunteer that was the registrar. And over the years, it's transferred out to where the technical director now is the club. Some clubs have a general manager, but basically the technical director. So there's no going to the board for vote. It's my decision, that's it. You know. So that changed a little bit. It's made us more professional, but has it helped us get better soccer players? And that's my biggest concern.
Because the parents aren't as involved, and that's directly related to...
Well, to pay people to be professional people, you've got to give them more than one team. Now, anywhere in the world, no one has more than one team. And we've got kids with 4 teams. And look, I'm not knocking it because they got to make a living. But how do you know in the coaching circle, what's your practice about? How do you design your practice? And you design it from the game. But if you're not at the game on Saturday because you're coaching Johnny's team and you're missing the other 3, how do you know what to work with? And then what you do is you have an assistant or go back to the old parent coach, because you've always got one of them that'll jump in, right? They'll always say, hey, I'll coach my kids' team Saturday, because they don't have to do any work, right? So it makes it difficult, you know. So I think when I say, are we making better players, if we look at the makeup of our men's national team, how many players from Southern California are on that team? Not many. You know, when you go back 10 years, 15 years, you'll see 60% of the team was from Southern Cal.
Yeah, I want to know why we don't have more representation. Because I feel like Southern California is one of the best spots in soccer.
The investment that came from, you know, the likes of Philadelphia, the likes of DC United, you know, those clubs on the East Coast invested millions into their academies. Okay. Whereas on the East Coast, on the West Coast, we only had the Galaxy, right? And we kind of had Chivas for a little while. So they invested a little bit in the academy. You know, now we've got LAFC. They're both doing a great job. But outside of that, it's still a results-based, you know, organization. You know, obviously the Fusion's got their MLS Next team, which is great. But the idea for that would be them to have somewhere to go, right? And we don't have that true pathway yet. So, and there's some good kids. But I think if you look at, let's look at Landon Donovan. I mean, he's one of the top ones, right? Landon went into residency for a month and a half, and they got to the quarterfinals of the 20th World Cup twice. Roy Reese, going back a long way, great Irish, great Welsh player. Roy's team made the quarterfinals of the World Cup, semi-finals of the Under-20 World Cup. Now we can't even qualify for it. So, you know, we're picking the players that are big, strong, very athletic. But then if you look at the Premier League, that's the kind of players. The only difference is they're highly skilled and technical. And we're not that technical. You know, I think if you look at Ryan Gravenberg from Liverpool, big guy, great feet, but I don't sense that it's the, you know what I mean? It's like,
is he a starter? I don't know.
No, he doesn't start. He comes and they've just bought him from Bayern Munich. So I think if Bayern Munich let him go, can't be a reason. But obviously Klopp likes him. So for me, he's a typical, like, fantastic physical specimen, like 6'1". But that's all of our players. You know, we've forgotten, like, LD, Lon Donovan was not tall. Eric Ronaldo, who was one of the top players before, wasn't super tall. So, you know, I think... I
kind of feel like we're losing a little bit of soccer in the name of athleticism.
Yeah, I think in the States, athleticism is number one. You know, you got to be an athlete. And I do believe in Europe, you know, I mean, like now, if you're recruiting a goalkeeper in Europe for a pro club, they've got to be over 6'2". That's it. If you're 6 foot, you're probably not going to make it. Which is crazy, really, because if you look at Jorge Campos, not a bad goalkeeper for Mexico, 5'11", 5'7", 5'8", you know. So, but that's the Premier League particularly has changed. But I worry that, are we getting better? Do we have better coaches? We certainly don't have better technique. Our technique's never improved all the time I've been doing this, 26 years. And I still see kids kicking the ball wrong, you know. There's so much to be said about repetition. You know, I remember Joe went back a few years ago to watch Liverpool train, and he filmed something, and they were doing something, the same thing for 20 minutes, which was like short, long combination. So I'm playing to you, you're playing 35, 40 yards to somebody else. 20 minutes. If you did that in this country, they'd say you're fired. Because we need the TV, you know, the controller.
Entertaining.
Yeah. So what you lose there is quality. You know, we train for 2 hours. Why? When you're a 12-year-old, why are you training for 2 hours? How long's the game? 2 30-minute halves, an hour? But we want to train for 2 hours? So I'm a great believer in you train for the length of the game, but it's got to be training. Mm-hmm. It's got to be like full out. So at the college, we train for 90 minutes every day, hard. Even on a pre-game day, it's still got to be 90 minutes because the game's going to be 90 minutes. You know, and I think another big thing is space. I think California in general would, and I'm talking about North and the South, probably the North's a little bit better than we are, but you don't have any space. You have a quarter of a field to train a U16 team. You can't. Spatial awareness is critical in the game and at the back four, how they play. So that hurts us a little bit. And I think we've got more teams with less space now. Before, maybe in Ventura, we had the Ventura Arsenal. We had one club, and they had access to quite a lot of fields. Now you've got 5 clubs. You know what I mean? So, and the parent jumping, you know, I'm not happy with you today. I'm going to go somewhere else tomorrow. And then the guy down the street, instead of being a professional and saying, stick with your club team till the end of the year, then come to me. Now it's like, come on, man. Yeah, I love you. So it's tough. You're in a tough world if you're a club coach.
Yeah, no, I had a player leave twice now, right before the season. Last season and this season. I had a player leave a week before.
Yeah, and the sad thing is if they just be upfront with you, you know, that would be the key. But they're not, you know. You know and I know, I've been doing ODP for 26 years. Every single kid's the best, mate. I can give you 10 now on my phone. You know, you guys didn't pick my kid, he's the best. And I say, you know what, then if he's the best, have your coach put a recommendation in. Have your coach put a yeah, but no, I don't want to do it. I want you to look at him. No. Because every kid, for their parents, is the best player in the world.
I want to get to the ODP because I have a lot of questions about that. But I want to go back to the technique. You said, you know, for 30 years, we still haven't improved our technique. So what do we need to do? What is the right technique?
Coaches want to coach tactically, formations. 12 years old, we're coaching formations. If you can't collect the ball and pass the ball correctly, you can't play the game. Right. You know, with working with US Soccer, obviously, on the, you know, we have the 9v9s, 11v11s. I'm sure you're aware of that pathway now. So I was one of the guys that worked with them on that. One of the biggest things we were worried about was the de-emphasizing of technical training. So years ago, when we did a course, we'd spend 45 minutes on a lofted pass. People don't even know what a lofted pass is these days. Show me a driven ball and the technical application for that. They don't know it. So years ago, we'd spend 45 minutes on each technique. Goalkeeping, 45 minutes, right?
I want to make a video, 6 techniques or 6 ways to pass a ball.
I mean, you know, that's the thing.
And when to use it, and what players would use it.
And that's functional. But again, we spent time doing that for coaches. Because some of these coaches that still come to the coaching school, we just did a coaching school, I'm just doing one right now, a D license, and we got 30 people in it. And 2 of them can coach soccer. But if you fulfill all the requirements of the course, you're going to pass the course. All right. Now, are we making them better? That's the thing Jimmy and I talked about the weekend. We're making them better at planning. They know how to plan and organize a practice session, which is important.
Very important.
It is important. But when they get on the field, so they plan it in the classroom, and then we go back on the field. And then they have to do what they've planned. And then they start realizing, oh, shoot, this is crazy. The one guy said, this is my masterpiece. I go on the field, and he does it on the field, and he's like, Coach, it's not my masterpiece.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is they're coaching the activity. They're coaching, you got to go there.
As opposed to the players?
Yes.
Yeah. And
that's the problem when, you know, look at rondos and stuff like that. Great, I got it. You know, so many coaches say, I want to play like Barcelona. You're not Barcelona, pal. You know, play to the strengths of your players. So this coach is doing a finishing session, not shooting. There's a massive difference between finishing and shooting. Shooting at the goal, finishing in the goal, right? Mm-hmm. So I never talk about shooting. So this guy's doing a finishing activity. The first 4 shots go over the crossbar. So I asked him, are you going to coach them? He said, well, we got the shots off. I said, but why did they miss? Well, one guy was leaning. Okay.
Tell them that.
It's not a matter of telling them, it's a matter of asking them these days. So guided discovery questioning is really important as well. You know, I tell the players that come to Ventura College, if you don't like to think, you don't want to play for me. Because I'm not telling you run there, run that. That's not what I'm doing. You've been playing soccer all your life. Do you need me to tell you when you made a bad pass? So, you know, that's always been my philosophy, right? You don't need to tell people, scream at people. Someday, yourself, some games are really hard. If you look at that Chelsea game yesterday, they were all saying about Mauricio Pochettino, whatever his name is, not being very animated all year. Well, he's had nothing to be animated about. But in that game yesterday, everybody be animated, right? It was brilliant. Yeah. So, you know, you can't do that every day, though, and people don't understand that. I remember when I came to America, and the first couple of times I saw people on the field with their clipboards, because everybody used to have a clipboard. And I've come from England to my FA badge, and I'm thinking, I need to buy me a clipboard, right? But then you realise that they have a clipboard, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. So forget the clipboard, right? But, in these days now, I think organisation's critical. If you want to put a good session on, do it that way.
What would you say has been like the biggest leap in coaching that you've seen? Maybe like when have coaches improved? Like over what time frame? The last 10 years, 20 years, 5 years? And what have they improved on?
Well, obviously, I think game coaching has gotten better, But if you watch any team, you very rarely see a low block and stuff like that. But you will do it occasionally, and that's partly because you want to win at all costs, right? You don't want to lose. So the good thing is the approach to playing games in Southern California particularly has not changed. People go at each other. They have a
lot of 1v1.
The teams attack. There's no one sat back in a low block, which when you go and play other states, I'll play Colorado with OEP, and they'll sit back and they'll have 6 at the back, right? So that in Southern California has been great. Coaches' knowledge and understanding of tactics, I think, is a lot better. But I think what they do is they move right to the tactics and they forget that there's a thing called technique in there. I always remember somebody said to me, well, I ask you, what's the lowest demeanor of tactic you can think about when you think about tactics?
The most simple, I would explain to like the youngest kid is like on defense, get compact, and on offense, get
So that's coaching.
Space.
That's coaching a group of players. Tactics are decision making, right? So when the ball's flighted in the air, where do I collect it? On my left, on my chest, on my thigh? And then where do I play it when I get it? Do I play to my left? Do I play to my right? That's an individual tactic, because tactics are decision making. Okay. And we forget that. If you can't collect the ball, pass the ball. That's why we talk about reading and understanding of the game is the most important thing a player can do. Because
the decision making.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
collecting a ball, knowing where to play it, when to play it. And the kids that struggle don't. One of the things that I didn't necessarily agree with US Soccer, obviously I still coach with them, is they would talk about, well, they don't need to have any kind of individual training or out like that. Unfortunately,
they
because
said that?
we feel that you can't uncouple tactics and technique. So they should always be together. What's the difference between technique and skill? Technique's the ability to perform a task without pressure. Skill, you can do it in the game. So I'd say we got loads of technical players, right? But skill players, that's different, mate. You know what I mean? That's like Messi. That's skill. Right?
Yeah, but like, I always tell my players, like, you need time with the ball. Just like,
for sure.
Spend time at home,
right,
kicking the ball.
And that's what we did. That's what we did growing up in England. That's what we did growing up in Brazil, right? And the problem we have in America is we can't do that without a coach. So then we go out and we hire a private trainer. And then parents invest in 20 grand and the kids still know better. So it's a vicious circle. But they need to work on technique. And I've always felt that if you're teaching technique, it's got to include pressure of movement or a defender. Because now you're making a decision. So check into a cone, coming back, collecting a ball, you're going to do that in a game. But you're standing there passing the ball back to forward, it's not going to happen, right? So I think it's just a matter of coaches are not teaching that anymore in their sessions. That's why our technique's poor. They're teaching the game. They're teaching the rondo. They're teaching the, whatever you want, whatever, the river game, whatever they're going to do. That's what they're working on with the kids, and not spending 30 minutes of every practice working on technique. At the coaching school, we said to them last weekend, you've got your major session. So say your session is building out the back to move the ball forward. Yeah. We told them you have to do a warm-up that incorporates that. Right? So your warm-up should introduce what you're going to work on that day. So you can't go do shooting and then do defending,
right,
which some guys do. And even those coaches that have been in a coaching school for 3 days still struggle with, how do I work that in? What do I do? What players should be involved in that? Right. I mean, I don't know whether you saw the thing with Pep last week where they had the back four, and they were doing a little activity backwards and forwards, staying connected, moving side to side, players stepping, so working on pressure, cover, balance. But it was a nice little activity that, you can relate to it. The coaches talk it, but kids need to be shown it. Mm-hmm. So the big thing for me when you do a coaching school is I don't want to hear you talking. I'm sick of hearing that shit. Show it. So if something's gone wrong, you'd show it. Stop, freeze, show it, put it right. You don't put it right, the kids put it right. So that's a big misnomer. We had a gentleman last weekend that had 12 minutes to teach a session, and 9 minutes were spent talking. Wow. Now he's got his peers, he's got coaches watching him, and I get all that.
So he was coaching an actual session with players?
He was on the field.
On the field.
Yes. And he spoke for 9 minutes.
I feel like, when I did that section of the course, they tell you ahead of time, be aware of how long you're talking and introducing.
It doesn't matter.
And he still...
No. But I think what it is when you go to a coaching school, you're nervous, you're in front of your peers, you don't want to, but you can also tell with some people that they like to talk. And there's nothing you can do. I hate it with talking. We have, like, Sean comes out, my buddy, and he'll help us at school. And he's more of a educator coach now than a coach, right? Yeah. So he always thinks about, the periodization, the amount of time, the effort they're putting in. And when you're in a situation like we're in, where, you got a game on Tuesday, a game on Friday, you train Monday and Thursday, those training sessions, you're only 2 days to work with your kids. So you got to push them a little bit. So there's days when you want someone like a Sean to come in. So it's walking, it's talking, it's asking questions, guided questions. But it can be, so the players will say to me, when's it too much?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, get on the field, get it going, show it, don't talk it.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten better at coaching within the last year. Even like the sort of, it coincided with the C course I took with Joey.
Right.
And it was just like, do less activities and just do them better. Just focus on it, prepare for it right, explain it clearly, and don't rush it.
Yeah. But that's hard because the kids want to move on.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, we're doing that again? Right.
Yeah. When I first started coaching, it was like I had a bunch of activities.
Yes.
And now I have much less, and I try to do them correctly.
That's the key, right? I mean, we always talk in the coaching schools. We're talking about building a weekly session in the D license. So whatever you're working on Tuesday, you should be part 2 on Thursday. And you may have to go the next Tuesday and the next Thursday. And like you say, picking less activities and trying to get the maximum. We know that just saying to kids, so if you say to a kid, create width, they're like, what the hell's width, man? I'm 10, I don't know friggin' width. But if you tell them to spread out, they know what that means, right? So I think with US Soccer's terminology and methodology, that's changed, I think, better for the kids, right? Because now we're talking about, you ask a kid, how can you get the ball forward? How can you move the ball forward? They tell you dribble or pass. It's great. You've answered the question. Let's do it, right? How can you do that if we're all stood together? So we need to spread out. So I think what the coaching schools do is what you said, is that it teaches coaches you don't have to coach everything. Because they ask that question, right?
Yeah. Are
you coaching the defense or the offense? No, I want to work with a focus group. And that's what you're saying. But you do have to work. I mean, it's like I see people warm up. I'm sure you see this, and everybody on the team's shooting.
As their warm up?
Yeah,
That's not a warm up.
right. But you know what I mean? It's like, how often is that number 3 or that number 5 going to get in the box to shoot?
Yeah.
Maybe never. So it's not a functional warm up. You know, you have your target players do that, whatever. So that's where I think we kind of like we kind of get on them. That in the high school, I have a big thing with high school because you know when you talk to players like I've talked to hundreds at VC, you know, and with the ODP program, the first thing they do is run around the stadium, right? Run around the stadium, run around the field, run around the field. So why is that? You think? Why do they make them run around the field?
Like as their warm up?
Yeah.
Why do they do that as a warm up? That's a great question. I do that too sometimes. I have them loosen up to.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Do you run around the pool before you go swimming?
No.
Do you run around the pool table before you play billiards and pool?
Well, no, but you're not running. While
Do you run around the
playing
dartboard? So, for me, it's like, why are we doing that? You know, the same with the punishment, right? We talk about the punishment, right? You go run. All we're teaching kids is to hate running.
Yeah.
Little kids, when you say, go run, Johnny, you're messed up. I don't have a problem with that kind of, we call it a reward, right? We don't call it a punishment. We say you got a nice reward, you're going to juggle the ball 50 times and come back. So my thing for youth coaches is have them run with the ball. Don't have them run on the field without a ball.
Oh, I see.
Because now you're working on dribbling, which is part of the game. But high school coaches, I think, because of their lack of experience and their knowledge of the game, the easiest thing to do is make them run. But if you talk to players, you know, and they buy into it, the players buy into it because they got to. This is a coach, right? But running up and down stadium stairs and stuff like that it's you know.
Well, we do the dynamic warm up as part of the jog.
Yeah.
We don't do it with the ball. And I understand what you're saying.
I would say when
you're
under 12-year-old down, as much as you can get the ball with them.
Yeah, this is my older team does it.
Oh, yeah,
without a ball.
Yeah,
they do the dynamic
I mean,
warm-up.
we do obviously a dynamic warm up with the college players, but as soon as we can get a ball out, we get a ball out for our pregame. You know, but even for practice every day, you know, you've got to give. First of all, coaching females, that's a whole other game, mate. You know what I mean? Because they got to talk, but they got to talk about the Bachelorette, the Bachelor, whatever it is. So you can come in and get really upset because your session starts at 1, and at 1:10 they're talking about the Bachelor. And you're like, what the hell, right? So I've learned over my years that the kids watch, our session is 1 to 3. From 1 to 1:15 is their session. Mm. They have to do the FIFA 11, which is a FIFA-organized ACL prevention program, which takes about 5 minutes. They do that.
What is that?
That's just moving. It's directional, jumping, hopping. You
Okay.
know, females don't jump from side to side. Obviously, we know that the ACLs are really, really prevalent. You know, 1 in 4 intercollegiate athletes tear their ACL.
Huh.
So we do a prevention program, but I tell them it's yours. It's not mine. I'm helping you not get hurt, so you need to do it. So they do that every day. Then they sit down and they spend 10 minutes talking. And then we go, you know, and then from 1:15 to 3 o'clock, they shut the hell up and we train. Yeah. And it works because understanding who's in front of you, they got to talk. They're social, for crying out loud, you know. The guys, they don't want to get going. They just want to get going. They don't want to do the warm-up, right? They just want to play.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it's like, again, the coaching school teaches you to think about who's in front of you. What age are they, you know, chronologically, they're little ones, you know, if they're at that age, 12, 13, the golden years, you know, they're going to learn a lot, you know. So that's the fun thing. I always remember coaching the college team on a Friday and then going to coach my granddaughter playing AYSO as a 6-year-old on a Saturday. You want to be humbled? That's humbling, mate. Right? And when she scores a goal and her own goal, you still buy them ice cream because she scored a goal, right? So, yeah, you know, I love working, by the way. Some people don't get it, but for me personally, we'll do a camp in the summer at VC with ODP. Primarily, the ODP kids will be with a different group. And then we have like a Young Olympians, which is the little kids. I'll do that group because I love working with little tiny ones. There's so much fun. There's so much joy. They don't care about results. They want to win. They want to win in their little games. But it's just so much. It's so enjoyable. I used to do a camp at VC 6 weeks, 5 weeks of camp in the summer. And we'd have from 5 to 9-year-olds, something like that. Maybe some older ones. And we had a blast. You know, we had a blast. It was fun. We made it fun. And, you know, coaching camps, as you know, is so much different than coaching.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. It's creating activities that you can do for 20 minutes to fill a time slot.
Yeah.
And then you just make it soccer orientated, don't you? But it's a challenge, but it's a fun challenge. I like, the ODP camps, when we started them, obviously in Ojai 20 years ago. That's when I stopped doing my camps at the college.
Oh, okay.
Because I had to go to Ojai and organise that and did that. But we brought it back last year for the first time with ODP. So the ODP program had the normal camp, which they had about 70 kids, which some good kids. We picked a few. And then we had about 30 or 40 in the little kids camp.